There's something evolving. Whatever may come, the world keeps revolving. They say the next big thing is here, that the revolution's near. But to me it seems quite clear that it's all just a little bit of history repeating. People shout, a new style is growing, but it don't know if it's coming or going. There is faction, there is fact, some is good, some is bad, and the joke is rather sad, that it's all just a little bit of history repeating. Woman, man, girl and boy, feel the pain, feel the joy, and sidestep the little bits of history repeating. I am my own special creation. So come take a look. Give me the hook of the ovation.
I'm just going to start because I think we're waiting for maybe some transition here, but I'm just going to lead in. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming and for your patience as we worked out some of the kinks getting started tonight. My name is Tiffany Nixon, and I am happy to welcome you all to the first Archives Salon, hosted by the Special Collections and FIT College Archive, which is part of the Gladys Marcus Library at FIT. Yay! Thank you so much. So, along with my colleagues in the library, I am thrilled to launch this series of conversations made possible through an FIT Diversity Council grant. This series will explore archival collections through the minds of the creators themselves, and will elevate the ways that archives inform design practices and investigate how we, as stewards of these collections, safeguard these important materials for tomorrow's practitioners and scholars. Earlier this year, FIT was privileged to receive the archives of designer and FIT alum Douglas Says. Yes, we're thrilled. This collection will serve as an incredible resource for our students, faculty, and researchers, and will be a catalyst for other contemporary designers to donate their archives to the FIT Special Collections, so that our historical records can be in better conversation with the present. I am pleased to introduce Joyce Hancock, who is facilitating the talk with Douglas tonight. Joyce is a poet, motivational speaker, and spoken word artist with an impressive CV as an actor and voiceover artist. Joyce will introduce Douglas and walk him through a series of questions about his work and career. We expect the talk to last about 45 minutes with a Q&A to follow. And various folks are stationed around the space if you need help with any other part of the event. And a huge, huge thank you to Lou Sierra and Tracy Norman, who modeled Douglas Says' designs. We're very, very grateful to you for coming tonight. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Joyce Hancock to the stage. Thanks so much.
Feels like a long walk. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your presence here this evening. It is my pleasure to be sitting here in front of you and to take a little time to get into the head of Douglas Says. Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American philosopher, said, "To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest achievement." Douglas Says is an accomplished clothing designer with a concentration on color, style, and fit from petite to plus size. His fabric of choice is jersey, which he shapes and drapes into wearable works of art. His recent show themed Nowness was a collection of innovative, spirited designs that was a celebration of the feminine form. His clothing is comfortable, great for travel, and most pieces can be rolled up, tucked away, and pulled out to make a flawless grand entrance that's sure to capture attention. Douglas Says has been featured in Women's Wear Daily, a multitude of fashion magazines, books, films, and ad campaigns. Although his focus is clothing design, he's an established makeup artist, stylist, the author of 2 books, A Muse and The Red Dress. And prior to their publication, he published a quarterly fashion and entertainment newsletter called Legends. Douglas is an archivist, maintaining fashion's historical past and keeping track with its present happenings, a true documentarian. Douglas's unique style and look led into modeling at a young age, where his travels inspired and ignited his passion for design. Everyone, please welcome Douglas Says.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Joyce.
Hey, Douglas. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm wonderful. Shall we get this party started?
Yes, let's.
Okay. Douglas, you were born and bred in Newark, New Jersey. How did growing up in Newark help you develop your fashion sense?
Wow. Well, I will say that growing up in Newark taught me to run fast. Yeah? Newark was rough, but as a young boy, I have a brother, so I was following behind my brother. Even though I'm the oldest, I was following behind my brother. So I got into a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have gotten into. But I found my passion with my sister's dolls. So I started playing with their dolls and making clothes for them and doing their hair, and that kept me out of trouble. And now, you know, it just grew, and now I'm playing with grown women.
He has live dolls now. Who were some of your early fashion influences?
I have to say that what I was looking at as a young boy was first and foremost was my cousin. I had a cousin named Leji, who was I'm not going to be politically correct right now, but my cousin was a drag queen.
Yes.
And but as a young boy, what I saw was fashion, makeup, hair, clothing, painting, and I wanted to be just like my cousin. And I guess in time I did turn out to be just like my cousin.
And your cousin, did he ever get
She.
to, she, I need to
Shim.
be politically correct, ever get to see you?
No, my cousin died in 1977 in a car accident in Germany. So no, she never got to see me do anything.
And yet I do believe that spirit is with you and has been with you.
Definitely, because, you know, growing up, I recreated a lot of things that I saw, you know, my cousin. Like my cousin had like paintings of herself, you know, nude and beauty and all of this stuff.
Yes.
And when I got older, I had paintings done of myself, nude and beauty and all of that stuff. So yeah, my cousin really touched my life in a very young part. Yeah.
When did you first begin to realize your creativity? When did you know that you were creating, that you were becoming creative?
I think it was when I had this little flat green doll that I found with long hair, and to make her look good, I had to be creative. So that's when I knew. Yeah, that's when I knew.
Now, did anybody see this?
I had a couple of people who played dolls with me, you know.
And did they say anything? Did they compliment you? Did they tell you?
No, nobody, no, they were just my playmates, you know.
And what inspired your creativity with the doll? You said to see this doll, you had to be creative.
Yeah, because she wasn't cute. She wasn't cute. You know. I mean, because oftentimes I would find the doll in the garbage, or it would be my sister's doll.
Okay.
So, you know, because my mother wasn't actually going to buy me a doll.
Yes.
But, you know, but she was fine with me playing with them and dressing them up. You know, she was cool.
As long as you found them, it was okay.
As long as I was quiet, you know, at peace, you know, as long as I was happy, she was happy.
Wow. When did you first begin to think that you would have a career in fashion?
Wow. I don't know that I ever really thought that I would. I just continued to do what I was doing. You know, in Jersey, there was, when I was in high school, I found a flyer on the floor, right, in the hallway, and it was for a modeling class. And I said, I'm going to check this out. Before that, I didn't even have an inkling that I wanted to try this. You
Okay.
know, my mother would cut things out of the paper or show me, like, when they would do articles on fashion designers, and so I would keep those things. And I had pictures of everything. And once I started doing shows in Jersey, um, and meeting everybody else
Yes.
and learning the history of all the models and the designers, that's when I said, hey, I think there's something to this, you know?
And did you attend the modeling school?
Yes, yes, yes. I went to, her name was Angie Rivers, and I went to her school, and I learned how to, so, with a guy, there's not so much that they can do. They only show you like a little bit. So after I learned what I needed to learn, I would just sit and watch her teach the girls, right? So eventually I picked up how to walk like a girl, and then I started teaching how to walk like a girl. So, yeah.
And when was your first fashion show as a model?
That would have been high school. That would be 1979 in Westside High School. And I remember I was walking on the runway. Uh, Once again, I was always bullied. So there was always somebody, either they were throwing rocks at me, bottles at me. Once they tried to hit me with a baseball bat, but I ducked, right? So, so I had to get around all of that. So at one point I'm on the runway, and my tormentors are on the side of the runway, right? And they're screaming out things as I'm walking. So I just, excuse my expression, I bent over and said, oh, I can't say that. No, I can't. I can't say what I said.
That's for the after
But, yeah.
party.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, and that,
Did they stop after you bent over and said what you said? Did they leave you alone?
no, they never left me alone. Because actually when I first moved on to my block, which was Avon Avenue, coming from my modeling class, I'm coming home, and me and my cousin were walking down the street, and then this group of boys come out of the block, and I said to my cousin, oh, we should go back and walk the other way. And he says, no, because my cousin thought he knew karate, right? Because this is the 70s.
He thought he knew karate?
Because karate movies were real big then, so he would go to the movies every weekend, right? So he thought he knew karate. So the boys came, and they just surrounded us, right? And one just hit me, and he had like something in his hand, like sharp, and it like punctured me, and blood just started coming out. So I started running. So that was my introduction to the block, right? Yeah, so it was always kind of rough living on that block. But eventually, I found my people, which was models, designers, and makeup artists, and that whisked me away to a whole nother world.
And have you ever run into those people?
Yeah, I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen them since. Yeah,
Do they remember you?
of course they do. How could they forget?
And what's the reaction now?
Well, I don't pay them any attention. So I'm kind of above
I
it
just
all.
wondered, did they grow out of that? And
Well, I grew, so because I was always smaller, so I caught up with myself. So yeah,
you're taller than a lot of them now, aren't
we're
you?
not doing that anymore. We're not doing that anymore.
You hold several successful titles: designer, makeup artist, author, stylist, archivist, fashion historian. What led you to becoming a makeup artist?
Oh, wow. Well, with the fashion shows, like the Jersey fashion shows, there was so many shows. We would do shows every weekend, right? Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'd have fashion shows. And back then, we had to supply our own clothes, right? So I'd make clothes, and when we were like we'd have routines, like you would walk with a boy, walk with a girl, and if we were walking in duets, like me and Rosemary, if me and Rosemary were walking, I would make an outfit for her, right? So, so now I have this outfit, me and Rosemary walking, and I forgot where I was going, because I have senior moments, okay? It'll come back.
Makeup artist.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Okay, so, most of the time, the makeup artists are getting the models ready, right? So I'm sitting there and I'm watching. So that's how I learned how to do makeup, because I'm watching the girls get painted. So eventually I bought makeup and I started practicing on myself, right? So I'm doing my own makeup, learning how to do makeup. And when I thought I was ready, I started going to the shows and wanting to do makeup. Of course, nobody would let me do their makeup because they didn't trust that I knew what I was doing.
Well, Rosemary was wearing your clothes. She wouldn't let you do her makeup?
Rosemary was my guinea pig for a long
Okay.
time. Yes, she was, yes. But eventually, I started doing drag. So once I started doing drag, doing my own makeup, I got better and I got better. And eventually, I was starting to do makeup at the shows.
Let's talk about that.
Let's.
I think your name was Omni.
That's right. Omni matters.
And how did you come up with that?
Well, my friend had, it was a magazine that was called Omni. It's like a sci-fi magazine.
I remember it.
And that name just stuck out to me. I was like, oh, Omni, that's nice. I'm gonna be Omni. Because my first drag show, when they asked me, like, what's your name? I hadn't thought that far. I was like, Douglas. So, so when they called me out, they called Douglas out, and I came out. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the character of Omni.
So Omni is, she's a mixture, because of course she's fashion. She's an ex-model, but she's a chanteuse. She only does like Phyllis Hyman, Nancy Wilson, Shirley Bassey.
That's quite a range.
Yeah, she's classy. She's really
Yes.
classy. Yeah, that's pretty much it about Omni.
My husband first met Douglas being Omni. He loved him. As a model, you worked here and in Europe.
Yes.
What was that like for you? And
That-
how did you well, we know how you got started modeling, but how did you end up going to Europe?
Okay, that was amazing. I was working for a company, airline, Virgin Atlantic Airlines. I worked for them for about 15 years, right? When I first started, you had to work for 1 year before you could travel, right? So once I got my travel benefits, my goal was, I always wanted to go to Europe. I always wanted to go to Paris, right? So my goal was, I'm going to go to Paris. I got to find somebody to take with me. So I took my friend Michael Jasper with me to Paris. Now my goal was, I was going to be there for 3 weeks, right? Michael's plan was to be there he was going to live there, right? So he packed everything he owned, even his answering machine. And I said, Michael, we don't even have a place to stay. Why are you bringing your answering machine? Okay. So we get to, so my goal was I wanted to do a fashion show. I wanted to do shooting, and I wanted to have an agency. Luck would have it that I got all of those in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I also went on a casting for a job in Japan, and I got it. So, that was kind of cool,
Kind of cool.
So I came back home after the gig, and then the agency actually called me. I was with Z Agency, which I see one of my fellow, my buddy who was also with Z Agency is out here in the audience. So I got, my agent called me at work and said, "You got the job." I was like, "Oh wow, okay." I can't go further into that because then I'm talking about something else. Okay.
So you got the job. So what was your first job like?
It was a catalog, and it was 3 shows. So that was awesome. It was awesome. It was, but what I took away from all of that is that I didn't want to model because it was too much work.
Yes.
Because it's casting after casting after casting. You're always job hunting. So I just stuck with designing because already I had been to school for design.
Okay.
I went to Trapegan, so and then I went to FIT. So I was like, I'm going to stick with this.
Well, it's been said that you love color, cling, and shapely bodies, and a Douglas Says design redefines shape, form, and fit. How did jersey become your fabric of choice?
That's very interesting because a lot of other designers say that jersey's hard to work with. I don't find that to be so. I think it's just second nature to me. It's just second nature to work in jersey. I love jersey. I love the body. I love, like you said, I love the cling. I love the body. I love the fit. Yeah, it's easy. I don't know. Sorry.
Don't apologize, we love it. When did you discover that you could actually earn a living as a designer?
Oh, that's kind of easy. I would say like it was 92, 93. I started doing, I did my first like solo show, which was at a place in Manhattan called Lola's. It was a restaurant, right? And after I did that show, my girlfriend Tracy said to me, "You should bring your clothes up to the show center. The girls will love your clothes." So I said, "Okay." So I brought my clothes up to show center, and the girls just started buying. So let me tell you a little about show center.
Is this Douglas's Girls in Ballroom?
It is.
Oh.
It is. Yes. So show center was the Peeps, kind of like the Peeps, right? So they have these booths where the girls work in the booths, right? They're on one side and a gentleman's on the other side, but glasses in between them, right? So you can't touch them. You can only like talk to them on the phone. So I would go up there and bring my dresses there. Now the supervisor of the place didn't really like to let people up there because you always had boosters coming in there trying to sell the girls things, but they let me in. So my things sold out. Like all the girls were buying my things. So there was a day shift and a night shift. I would go to the night shift and sell my dresses to them because I worked, I was working at Virgin. So I'd work my 8 hours, go home, make the dresses, take them back to 42nd Street before 10 o'clock, which is when they got off, right? So eventually, Gay Pride came around. And so I never saw the girls on the day shift. Only the girls on the night shift were buying my clothes, but they were buying them for the girls in the day shift too. The girls in the day shift would take orders, right? So I'm walking down, Christopher Street, and I see Octavia St. Laurent, and she's in one of my dresses. But she hadn't met me yet. She just bought it from somebody in the day shift. And I said, "Oh, you got on one of my dresses?" She was like, "Oh, you're Douglas Says." So, then she became my best friend.
And for those in the audience who don't know who that is,
So if you've seen Paris is Burning, you're familiar with Octavia St. Laurent, and she's one of the stars of Paris is Burning.
so you started out as Douglas Williams.
Yes.
Tell me about the name change.
And that's probably a new thing for most of y'all because it's always been Says for the most part, right? Okay, so once again at Virgin Atlantic, we went on a fam trip to Virgin to the London office. And when I got to the London office, they had a newsletter. I had already had a newsletter before that. My newsletter was Legends. And then later, I had another newsletter, which was CMS Studios, right? So anyway, I'm in the London office. They have a newsletter, but the New York office didn't have a newsletter. So I was like, "Hey, we need a newsletter, right?" So I started a newsletter for the office. And my column, which was going to be a fashion column, was called Douglas Says. And from that point, I just kept Says. And, when I would do shows, if I was getting paid, they would write the check for Says. So I was having a problem cashing it because my name wasn't Says. So eventually I just changed my name to Says. Yeah. My mother had a little issue with that, you know. And I said to her, I'm like, I don't get it. Why are you feeling some kind of way? If any of my sisters got married, their last names would change. What's the difference? I chose this name. So, yeah, after that, she was fine.
We like Douglas Says. From 1997 to 2009, you had a successful design studio in Newark's vibrant downtown area. How did that come about?
Wow. That came about because my girlfriend, Rosemary Kuzal, and her girlfriend, Karen McDonald, they both called me at home one day and they said, hey, we got this space. We got this space downtown. It's like big. We want you to come see it, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm not interested. So they just kept going. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll come see it. Because at that point, I had a space, which was downtown Newark, but it was on Broad Street, across the street from City Hall. But in that space, I was harboring a museum. So I had a museum which was called Extensions. But anyway, I went to the space that they had, and it was beautiful. It was spacious. So I was like, okay, yeah, I could do this. Okay. So I moved all my stuff from home into the workspace. Both of them worked in the industry. One was a showroom model and one was a receptionist. So they were never there. So I was basically manning the space. So that's how that came about.
Let's go back. You mentioned extensions. Let's talk about that.
Okay. So I believe so I got the idea to do extensions because I went to an exhibit here at FIT, right, and it was a black exhibit, black designers exhibit. I want to say it was like 1994, right? And I'm looking around, I'm like, wow, this is awesome. We need to do something like this in Jersey. I was always very pro-Jersey, you know, because we had a lot of talent in Jersey.
Yes.
You know, there was, growing up, we had like Tracy Norman, Rosalind Johnson, Jamie McDonald, Ronald Petty, Bob Henry. God, it's so many models and designers. So when I decided to do this exhibit I rented a space from a friend of mine because he had the space. He wasn't doing anything with it. So I rented the space, and then I started to collect mannequins, borrow mannequins, rent mannequins, and got this space together, called up everybody that I knew. Even like if the designer had passed already, I contacted their family or you. I contacted you, got a couple of designer pieces that you had that went on display. So yeah, that was awesome, and it's online. You can go online and you can see extensions. I have a YouTube page, 2 pages actually, so you can go there and you can see the exhibit.
Wow. Your work has appeared in several books, and in 2009, you became an author with your first book, A Muse, and again in 2013 with the release of the Red Dress book.
Yes.
Talk about the Red Dress book.
Okay. The Red Dress is, okay, I shot about 40 different women in the same dress. So the Red Dress is an accessory story. It's a beauty story. It's, the locations change, the buttons change. Every time the dress is shot, it's changed, right? So it's all about the locations. It's all about, we shot it in Paris, we shot it in London, we shot it in Harlem, we shot it in Newark, we shot it in Weehawken, we shot it on a boat, we shot it we shot it all over the place, right? So the Red Dress is available, actually. You can even buy the Red Dress. But currently I'm working to have it as an exhibit. So now all of the images are on canvas, and I'm looking to find a space, and then I'm going to do an exhibit of the Red Dress.
I'd like to add something about the Red Dress that he didn't say. It was shot over a period of years.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that I found really fascinating is there is a section in the book where models are holding their babies. And in the back of the book, the babies are now 17 and 18, and they're in the red dress also.
So that chapter is called Daughters of the Red Dress. Yes, that's true. So there was, actually several, at least, so I started shooting, I made the dress in 1989, and then I started shooting it in 91. So I shot, but when I first started shooting the dress, it was only going to be a calendar. I wanted to do a calendar. And then later, we got the opportunity to do books. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this book. And so from 91, I shot it from 91 to about 97, and then I put it away, right? And then when it came to me to do a book, I was like, oh, wow, okay, I can do a book. Let me reach back out to the girls that I didn't get a chance to get, which was like Coco, Magic, we already had Lou and Tracy and, Rosemary. All those ladies were in the book already. And then when I thought about it, I'm like, oh, that's right. Sherry's daughter, Sherry Gordon's daughter, Kim Baker's daughter, Rosemary Kuza's daughter. So then I shot their daughters in the same dress that they had once worn. So that's the red dress.
Thank you. And before your two books, you published a newsletter, a fashion and entertainment newsletter that definitely was fashion-oriented, and it had wit, humor, and gossip. Legends.
Yes, yes. And, I named it Legends because I felt that Jersey had so many legends, like, all of the models. And really and truly, there was so much talent that came out of Newark. We had Billy Jones. We had, we had so many talents. I can't think of all of them right now, but there was a lot of models, a lot of designers, a lot of makeup artists.
Yes.
Al Grundy. There was a lot of talent that came out of it. And I was watching them as I grew up, so, they helped to make me me.
You recently had clothing on display at the Newark Museum alongside designer Stephen Burrows and Narcisco Rodriguez.
Yes, that was major.
And what motivates and inspires you now?
What motivates me? Well, oftentimes the Spirit just moves. The Spirit moves me to do whatever it is that I'm going to do. I don't even ask myself, questions of like why I'm doing something. I like to think of myself as a baby Andy Warhol. So I have all these different things that, like, okay, I probably mentioned this to you the other day. So I have a collection of answer machine tapes, right? Which I don't even know what I'm going to do with them yet, right? 9 times out of 10 they'll wind up here at FIT. But again, like, I've just collected all of this stuff, but I don't ask myself why. I'm just obedient.
That's that part of you that's an archivist and fashion historian.
Yeah.
And how did that come about? Because everyone comes to you when we need information.
That's true. But I've always been a fan. I've always been a fan of fashion, especially models. Models were my first love. Even before I really got into clothes, it was their beauty, because in my mind, in my young mind, I thought that, that models are perfect, that I didn't think that models had problems or issues because their beauty was a pass key, right?
Yes.
But later I got to learn. that, models are real people. When you got girlfriends like Lucelania and Tracy Norman, it's like, oh, wait a minute, they're real. They're real people.
They don't have any issues.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone interested in fashion as a career?
I would definitely say find your own way. Don't listen to what everybody's going to tell you, because there's a different road traveled. And, I've not traveled the road expected, or, you know what I mean? I did my own thing. Yeah, just find your own way.
And tell me, what is it like being here this evening?
This is monumental. There have been many times that I wasn't in the moment, like different things have happened in my life, and you're so busy trying to get to the next thing, you didn't really like sit there and be like, oh, but right now I'm like, oh, okay, I'm awake. I'm awake.
Are you awake? Are you in the moment? Can we still open for audience questions? Very good. I think someone has a mic, and they'll be passing it around.
Hello, okay. Welcome, first of all, and thank you so much for returning to your alma mater.
Thank you.
And congratulations to Special Collections on their first salon. Yes, can we clap it up for that? What do you think your archive says about you as a designer and artist? I have one, that's one of many questions that I have. Okay.
Okay. I think that it's very telling. It's very open. I've given pretty much everything that I am into this collection. So if the deeper you dig, the more you'll find of who I am, what I've done, where I've been. I wasn't really familiar with what's in an archive, what somebody else's archive. I've never looked at somebody else's archive, so I had to learn to let go of items. But then when I realized, well, this is why you've been holding on to this for this long, so this is where it belongs, so that made it easier.
What is the most stunning discovery for yourself or about yourself throughout this process?
Throughout this process, wow, I don't know. Throughout this process, the most stunning. I don't know.
Okay, that was just an off-the-cuff question.
Okay.
So what do you hope the students of FIT or any alum learn about you and your design process as they comb your archives when they come back to visit?
I think they'll realize that I'm really like a free spirit. So you pick that up from everything that I do, whether it's makeup or design or drag or whatever, modeling, whatever. You'll pick that up.
What was the hardest thing to let go when crafting and editing?
The hardest thing for me was the videotapes, because, God, I don't even know how many I had. I had a lot of videotapes, but yeah, that was the hardest thing to let go.
Okay, I don't want to monopolize because I could do that.
Hey, Douglas.
Hey, David.
How are you?
I'm
Congratulations. Good, it's so good to see you getting flowers.
Thank you.
My question is, I have two. I've always thought highly of your work and wanted to know, had you ever thought about doing menswear?
I do menswear. So that tells me that you haven't been to any of my shows lately. Well, you did come to Now.
I've seen your menswear, but I thank you, and I have. No shade.
Well, it's funny that you asked, because somebody just called me yesterday and they asked me when was I going to be doing my next show and would I have more menswear in it. Yeah, no.
Okay. Well, I would like to see more, and thank you. The other aspect I wanted to ask about is, I've always wanted to see you in more clothing places or in a bigger light and selling. And I don't know if that's an aspiration of yours or if it's something you tried and had trouble doing. But
Well, you know what? I find that for me, custom has worked. A big part of my career was prom. I did a lot of prom stuff. And also prom was also like going back to school for me, because suddenly I'm doing, my client is 17 years old, and I'm trying to make her dream a reality, her dress a reality. So I had to go back to school myself. And what I mean for that is like mentally, I had to go back to my training to produce these ideas that these teens had. Again, I do say that you have to find your own road. I'm sitting up here at FIT, and I didn't travel the road that most traveled, and I'm happy with myself.
yeah, you've mentioned that to me. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Douglas.
Hi.
So, for those of you who don't know, over the summer I had the privilege of researching in your archives. And I just was hoping that you could speak a little bit more about your sense of an archive. I know you mentioned that you haven't looked at many others, but what gave you the sense of your own and why you chose to collect what you did in terms of, you have such a wide range of things that you've donated to the collection, from your Polaroids of yourself to a significant portion of like Black media representation and model comp cards. Just, yeah, if you could say more about that.
Everything, right? I'm a bit of a pack rat. No, I loved fashion. I always loved fashion, but I loved models more than clothes, right? So comp cards, model posters, all of that came, the agency books. I just always collected all of that stuff. When I was younger, I used to know all of the models by name. Like, when I was at Trapegan, what I didn't know, I just found out recently that, because I used to always see models on the elevator at Trapegan, but I didn't know Elite Modeling Agency was in that same building. I'm glad I didn't know, because I would have harassed them forever. But I would always see the girls, and sometimes they give me a comp card, whatever. So yeah, I just always collected that stuff. And the Polaroids, that was me trying to learn to pose, one, but also watch myself age, So yeah, and eventually I aged out, and I had to stop that. I didn't like what I was seeing.
They're fabulous. Don't listen to him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Douglas.
Hey there.
I just want to say that I actually never watched your fashion shows until tonight. And when I was watching them, I saw a plus-size woman, and I was gagged, okay?
Well, actually, if you go to YouTube, I had a show which was called Plus You. So I did a whole plus-size show, right?
Okay, cool. So that actually brings me to my question.
That was 2009. You screaming out and that girl trying to talk?
So my question, what made you decide to include plus sizing in your fashion during a time where the standards of beauty wasn't as accepting?
Well, you know what? I have to say this first. So when I started doing the studio, when I was working at the studio, I was very limited, right? And that was my own insecurities. There were certain things I just wouldn't tackle. I wouldn't do menswear. I wouldn't do plus size. If you called me on the phone, if a young girl called me and she wanted a prom dress and she called me, she was like, I'd say, what size are you? If she said anything bigger than a 10, I gave her to somebody else, right? So eventually, but what I realized was I was losing money because I was turning her away. So eventually, I started doing plus, I started doing menswear, and that was like going back to school once again, because those were like, you know, when you go to school, you have lessons. There are certain things that you have to cover, right? So me having a studio, those were jobs for me, you know. So with my Plus Shoe show, how that started off was my girlfriend Rosemary Kuza. She got a store, and she didn't have anything in the store, but she wanted to put something in the window. So she asked me, could I, you know, put my clothes in the window? I was like, sure, no problem. So I put the clothes in the window, and then women were coming by asking about the clothes. But real women were coming by. You know, the sample is a 2, but real women are not a 2, right? So they asked me would I consider making those same things, you know, for real women. So I said, okay. So I'm doing this for the store, right? And as I start doing it for the store, her partner at the time, she was losing her mind. You know, she thought that I was working for her. I'm like, no, sweetie, I'm doing this on my own. You know, you can't make any suggestions. God rest her soul. So we fell out, you know, but I continued to do it, and the Spirit said, hey, this is a show. You got a show here. So I had a Plus Shoe show, which was really amazing because we had the show in New York on 39th Street at a club called Esquilita, and so the show is happening, right? The show is happening, and so my show went on before a performer show, right? So one of my friends came back. He was like, you got to start the show all over. You got to start the show all over because the line is down the street and around the corner. The people haven't even gotten in. The place was packed, but the line was around the corner. So I said, well, you got to ask the owner. So he asked the owner, and they said, yeah, you can do it over again. So after that show went, we just hung everything up again and did the show again. So, yeah, there was definitely a desire for the show. So.
Thank you.
Hi, Douglas.
Hey there, how are you?
I'm good seeing you tonight. How are you?
Likewise, likewise.
Thank you. This is such an incredible evening, and to see you celebrate it tonight and to think about, I have 2 questions, one related to this comment, is what are the keys to your longevity? And my second question is, last night, some of us who are here tonight also had the pleasure of listening to Jeffrey Banks, who is your contemporary, maybe a little older, or maybe quite a bit older, but still your contemporary, but certainly in terms of the paths that you have blazed. And what I've heard both of you say, you tonight and Jeffrey last night, which was also an extraordinary conversation, is you both have a deep knowledge. When you were young, you came to this with a deep knowledge. You took the time to learn a lot about what you were interested in. And so my second question is, how can we transfer that knowledge to the next generation, both in terms of us, of our generation being more proactive perhaps about that, and also getting them to receive it if indeed you agree, kind of a long-winded question, but if indeed you agree that that's important.
Well, you know, it is important to know your history and where you came from. And as far as my longevity, it's being true to myself, definitely being true to myself, and not listening to the naysayers, you know. So, but definitely it's about, this is a start right here, just documenting your stuff so that people can find you. That's really important to me, you know, that, because I look at things like, as my friend Linwood said to me earlier, you couldn't have told Douglas Williams that Douglas Says would be sitting on this stage today, you know, and that's the truth. I would have never believed you. So, yeah, Senior moment, I lost track. All the time. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your collection and your experiences with us. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what it feels like to have your collection be part of the FIT archive, and what you think it will have to say in conversation with other designers that are a part of the archive.
I want to say that one more time, but a little louder.
Okay. Maybe if I move there, that's a little bit better. So, thank you. There we go. Thank you. All right. So, can you just tell me a little bit about how you imagine your archive in conversation with the other designers whose collections are now or will in the future be in the FIT archive?
Okay. I would like to be a fly on the wall at the salons when the students are looking at the collection, because I really don't know what to expect. And actually, I've even told Tiffany that I would love to be in the room when the guys are seeing my stuff. I don't know. I really don't know. Again, this is my first time being here, so I've never seen anybody's archive before, except my own. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So I think that we're at the end of the questions and this amazing evening tonight. I am really very grateful to both of you for coming, and Douglas, thank you for entrusting your legacy to FIT. It's really incredible to have you here. And thank you all for coming. This has been a really lovely night. So thank you so much.
So, Tiffany, before everyone gets up and moves out, I just want to leave you with this quote, and students, listen up. Howard Thurman, a great theologian and philosopher, said, "Don't ask what the world needs. Find what makes you come alive and go do that, because the world needs people who have come alive." Thank you.
Walk for me, 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 serve, walk for me, serve, walk for me, serve, walk for me, serve, walk for me, walk for me, walk for me, walk for me. I'll see you after the function. Walk for me, 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 walk for me.